AT&T in Middletown, New Jersey. He is also the Vice President of Public Relations of the AT&T Middletown Toastmasters Club, where he's achieved many, many awards. Tom has been a member of Empowering Today's Professionals since 2004 and founded the ETP's Jersey Shore Networking Group in 2008. Tom's hobbies include ham radio, photography, gardening, and learning to play the piano. Tom resides in Toms River, New Jersey. Tom's speech today is on, wow, networking works.
Thank you, Rod and the Cohens, for inviting me tonight, and thank all of you for coming out to support MS. Tonight we've learned a lot about networking, and at times you might have thought, wow, this is hard work. Is it really worth it? Well, tonight I'm going to share some stories that prove to me that networking does work, and I hope that they will convince you as well. And not only that, but I hope that I'll hear you say, wow, networking works. How many of us remember the very first time that we used a computer? Here we go. Okay, great, fantastic. For me, I was 7 years old at the 1964 World's Fair. And it happened to be at the Bell Telephone Laboratories Pavilion. And I played tic-tac-toe against a computer that I'm sure was much larger than this. Little did I know that the fascination of that first computer game was going to set me for a lifelong career in technology. I loved it. I wrote my first computer program in high school, and before that, I thought that I would be a math teacher. But once I wrote my first computer program, I knew that that's what I wanted to do. When I entered university, I took and aced every computer course that I could get a hold of. So when it came time to graduate, all of my family, friends, and fellow students said, Tom, you're set for life. You're going to be involved with computers. Many of my other fellow students were heading off to careers as math teachers. But I was headed for the high-paying, high-demand career of computer programming. I loved it. I was set for life. So I started my career, and I ground the bases year by year, improving my skills, my experience, and fortunately, my salary. Things were great until 2001. I had the first strikeout of my career. I got laid off from Lucent Technologies along with 25,000 other people. Ouch, that hurt. Not only financially, but to my self-esteem. At that time, I didn't know about networking. So I poured many resumes into the black hole. However, there were a couple of colleagues that I did keep in touch with, and one day I sent email to one of them, informing them that I was still looking for a job. And he replied back and said, funny that you should contact me today, because in this morning's staff meeting, my manager said, we have a job opening. And a week later, I joined their team as a contractor at AT&T. However, that did not make me realize yet the power of networking, nor the hidden job market. So things at AT&T were great for 3 years. And then I had my second strikeout of my career. I got laid off from that job along with 800 contractors. Tough time. And my wife and I realized that an unpleasant pattern was developing. So one day she said, honey, that's when I knew I was in trouble. She said, I know that you love the work that you do, but this is not working. You need to take your power back. You need these companies don't care about you, and you can't be a victim. So we considered, what can we do to improve my career? About that time, a friend of mine informed me of an email networking group run by some guy named Rod Colon. Anyone know him? And so I joined Empowering Today's Professionals, also known as ETP. And I read the emails, but still, I didn't know what this networking stuff was about. And eventually, after 6 months, a friend of mine informed me of a job opening at Avaya. So I accepted that. I sent in my resume. He recommended me to his manager. And shortly thereafter, I started working at Avaya. So things were great at Avaya. So around again, the bases. Year 1, things are great. Year 2. Oh, wait a minute. Was that year 2 or was that strike 2? It looks like I'm heading. Long-term employment at Avaya was not looking so good any longer. Looks like I'm headed for my 3rd strikeout. So what do? I look down the first baseline, and who do I see? Coach Rod. Cheering me on, telling me to swing for the fences. Swing for the fences? Well, I figured what I've been doing before hasn't been working very well. So I plunged into networking. I attended many ETP conference calls, and on them, I heard a lot of questions about LinkedIn. So, with the assistance of my friend Chip Bartman, I created a LinkedIn FAQ for the group. And as I learned more by participating in ETP, I shared it with others via email, blogging, presentations on the ETP conference call, and eventually even set up ETP's Jersey Shore Networking Group to give folks an opportunity to have face-to-face networking. Well, a year later, I was laid off from Avaya. But this time, I had a pleasant surprise. I updated my LinkedIn status, letting my network know that I was looking for a job, and within 4 hours, I had 4 offers of assistance to find me a job. 2 of them from hiring managers that wanted to interview me. I heard myself say, wow, networking works. A few days later, one of my colleagues at Avaya that was also laid off was telling me about an interview that he had set up for the next day. And as he described it, I realized that's the position that I interviewed the day before. And then I heard a voice. Tom, help him. What, am I crazy? No, but I was inspired. I told him everything I knew about the position, about the interview, what they wanted to know, and my experience. And he got the job. But things worked out fine for me because thanks to my network, I wound up getting 3 job offers to consider. So I took the best position, and again I heard myself say, wow, networking works. Because this time, as opposed to the others, I didn't have 6 months of unemployment in between jobs. There was no change, no time period of unemployment. Now you may think that's the end of the story, but it isn't. While I was at that job, several months later, that person that I helped get the job contacted me and said, Tom, I don't know if you're interested, but we have a job opening in my group that you would be a perfect match for. I submitted my resume. He recommended me to his manager. I went on the interview. Well, no, before that. That wasn't it. He, before the interview, coached me now on everything that I needed to know to successfully pass the interview. So I got the job, started shortly thereafter. job that I'm at today, and things could not really be much better. Now, it took me decades to realize that I went from set for life to needing to understand how to network. I'm sorry, my throat's a little dry. So it took me decades to realize the power of networking and the hidden job market. So now that you may be convinced, how will you remember to keep networking alive? Tip jars and spare change dishes near cash registers are my reminders. When I see a tip jar, I think, what have I learned lately that wowed me? And who can I pass that on to that will find it of value? And a spare change dish is a reminder to say, who can I do a mitzvah for so that I'm putting pennies in the spare change dish of my network? Can I hear you say, wow, networking works.